Hi. For writing assignments in museum studies, you'll be using the Chicago Manual of Style, specifically the Notes and Bibliography section in Chapter 14. Before we dive into examples, let's quickly define what we mean by a citation. A citation tells the reader where the information came from. It's like a breadcrumb trail to your sources, so others can find them, learn more, and check your accuracy. So, why do citations matter in museums? First, to give credit where credit is due. Whenever you quote, paraphrase, or build on someone else's work, citing your sources shows integrity. It also helps you avoid plagiarism, which is a violation of codes of ethics at virtually every university and in every professional field. Second, to build your credibility. When you cite high-quality, reliable sources, your readers trust your research more. You're showing that your arguments are based on solid scholarship. Third, to help readers learn more. If someone is reading your paper, there's a good chance they care about the topic. Your citations point them to books, articles, and authors they might want to explore themselves. So, give credit, build credibility, and create a pathway for curiosity. That's why citations aren't just academic rules, they're a tool for better thinking and writing. Now, let's look at the building blocks of a citation in the Chicago style. Every citation answers these questions. Who wrote it? That's your author or creator. What is it called? That's the title of the book, article, or chapter. Where and when was it published? That's your publication info. City, publisher, year, journal volume, and issue. What page? If you're using a footnote, you'll need to include the specific page number that you're referring to. URL. If it's online, include the web address. You don't need to include the access date anymore. Let's start with a book by a single author, Intentional Practice for Museums by Randy Korn. Who is Randy Korn? What is Intentional Practice for Museums? Where and when is Roman and Littlefield in Lanham, Maryland in 2018? Now in the book, you'll see there are 4 different locations listed for the publisher, including New York and London, but you'll only choose one, the location closest to you. We're in Washington, D.C., so our choice is Lanham, Maryland. The page you're using, 44. The URL, it's not needed because it's a print book. So here's how it will be presented in the citation. The footnote is Randy Korn, Intentional Practice for Museums, Lanham, Maryland, Roman and Littlefield, 2018, 44. In the bibliography, it's Korn, Randy, Intentional Practice for Museums, Lanham, Maryland, Roman and Littlefield, 2018. Now notice the details. In all citations, there are 3 major parts. First, the name of the author or creator, which can be a person or an organization. Second, the title. And third, the publication information. In a footnote, the parts are separated by commas, and there's a page number at the end. In a bibliography, the author's name is reversed because it's listed alphabetically, and the parts are now separated by periods. Next, let's work on a chapter in an edited book. And we'll be using as our example Lucinda Brockway's chapter, Looking Beyond the Front Door to Find Spirit of Place in Reimagining House Museums. Now, this is going to get a little more complicated, so let's again break it down. The author is Lucinda Brockway, so that's our who. The title is Looking Beyond the Front Door to Find Spirit of Place, that's our what. And where and when is where it gets a little more complicated. This is a chapter in Reimagining House Museums, which is edited by Ken Torino and Max van Belgoy, and it was published by Roman and Littlefield in Lanham, Maryland in 2018. The chapter starts on page 227 and ends on 236, And in the writing assignment, we're referencing information that we found on pages 231 and 232. A URL is not needed because it's available in print. So here you'll see the two different citations, one for a footnote and one for a bibliography. Just as before, the three elements are author, title, and publication information, except the publication information now includes the title and editors of the book, and it's been split into two subparts. You'll discover that the publication information is the trickiest part of a citation. So first identify the author and title, and usually everything left over goes into the last element. Finally, let's try a journal article like this one by Christine Barron in the Journal of Educational Psychology. Christine Barron is our who, or the author. The title is Understanding Historical Thinking at Historic Sites, so that's our what. Where and when? Well, this was in the Journal of Education Psychology, Volume 104, Number 3, which was in 2012. And the journal article started on page 833 and finished on page 847. And in our assignment, we're going to be quoting a sentence that we found on page 845. A URL, it's not needed because this journal is available in print, but if you found it online, it may have a digital object identifier or a DOI, and you may include it at the end. So here are the two different citations, a footnote and a bibliography. And you'll see that articles in journals or magazines are almost identical to books. In a footnote, the parts are separated by commas, but now there are identifiers for the volume, number, and pages. And in a bibliography, the author's name is reversed and the parts are separated by periods. To sum up, every Chicago-style citation has three essential elements: the name of the author or creator, the title, and finally the publication information. If you keep that in mind, you'll build citations that are clear, consistent, and credible. Now, if you're still unsure, you'll find an online searchable version of the Chicago Manual at Gelman Library, or you can ask one of the experts in the Chicago style at the Writing Center. Thanks for watching, and keep on citing.